How's your interviewing technique? This is a training film for the 1950 census. 1950 census enumerators, those were census takers, went through a training program that included listening to phonograph records synchronized to 35mm film strips. In that way, all the training groups throughout the United States and the territories reviewed the same material. There are 12 films in this set. They're all different topics within the 1950 census. I have 3 of those films in my collection. I also have audio for 6 of those 12 films, and I was able to put 2 of the films with the film strip images and the audio on YouTube, the where and how many and the income. And I'm hoping perhaps to get some more films in the near future. That left the How's Your Interviewing Technique. I had the film, but I don't have the audio. However, I now have the official script for this film strip, courtesy of the National Archives catalog, that I've taken a shot to put audio with the film strip with my wife Gloria and with help from the sound program Audacity. The film strip and the script at one point differed. I think that wasn't the final version that's on the catalog. So I repeated a slide, as you will see, with the extra script material. So the first frame of the film strip is a focus. And then what would happen is there would be a tone and the person on the phonograph record, and the person running the film strip projector would then advance the film strip 1 frame at a time. How's your interviewing technique? So you're going to do some enumerating. You'll like the job if you look forward to each new person as a new friend. I'm an old hand at the game. Perhaps I can help you avoid some of the mistakes in interviewing that I made. Some of you may have done this kind of work before, but now and then it doesn't hurt any of us to check ourselves to see if we are really doing as good a job as we know how. I can't give you an interviewing pattern that will fit every situation. When you are meeting people, each situation is different, and you have to be able to adapt yourself to it. You need common sense, and sometimes common sense is not so common. You need to be patient and observing. You will be talking to people in all walks of life. You must try to put each one at ease. You should look and act in a way to merit the respect of everybody in the community. You don't make calls in your mackinaw and jeans. You don't wear a fancy dress and high-heeled shoes when you enumerate. You don't chew gum while you are talking to a respondent. Neither do you smoke while asking questions. You dress neatly, cleanly, and conservatively. There is a spring in your step and a pleasant expression on your face. You are polite and friendly at all times, regardless of where you are and to whom you are talking. By your manner, you get the attention of the respondent. Sometimes you may need to put the respondent at ease with some small talk. For example, in a crowded tenement district, the respondent may want to discuss the new school in her neighborhood. The small-town housewife may be glad to have a compliment about her flower garden. The farmer probably will want to tell you how his crops are doing. You listen with courteous attention, but you get to your business promptly. You must be polite but not waste time. You have a lot of other calls to make. You will be using a number of different forms. Study these forms and your manual so you know them thoroughly and can ask the questions in a conversational tone. Be sure to ask all questions that apply. Unless instructed otherwise, ask them as they are worded on the schedule. Do not substitute your own observations and assumptions for the questions you are supposed to ask. You should try to call at a reasonable hour. You won't be welcome in many households before 8 o'clock in the morning. And if you arrive just at mealtime, try this. Enumerator. I'm sorry that I got here when you were at supper. I have another call to make in the neighborhood and will come back in about half an hour. Will that be convenient? Let's try an interview. You approach the house in a business-like manner. You are about to ring the bell when a little girl rushes out. Even though the door is now open, you do not enter. Enumerator. Is your mother home?
How do you do?
Good afternoon. I am John Doe from the United States Bureau of the Census. Here is my identification card. We're taking the population and agricultural census, and I'd appreciate it if you would help me fill out these forms.
Will you come in?
Thank you. Was that your little girl?
Yes, she's my youngest. Won't you sit down?
Thank you. This is the census, which is taken every 10 years to find out the number of people in the country. To do this, we have to list all the people who live here now, starting with the head. Are you the wife of the head?
Yes, I'm Mrs. Edwards.
Then the questions will probably be easy for you.
Someone else was here not long ago asking a lot of questions. What did you say this was all about?
Explain to the respondent just what the census covers, for it is important that people understand the reasons behind the government programs which cost the taxpayer money. For example, say something like this. Enumerator. The government takes this complete census of population in accordance with the Constitution. From the results, it determines the number of congressmen each state can send to Washington. The government also needs to know facts about farms, about the employment situation, and about housing.
Why should everybody know all about me and my family?
They won't, Mrs. Edwards. Any information you may give is confidential and will be seen only by employees sworn not to disclose it. The Bureau will publish statistics for large groups of people, but nothing about any individual. Thanks very much, Mrs. Edwards. We appreciate your cooperation. The Census Bureau collects other information, so we may be back to see you again someday. That interview was very pleasant, but they won't all be like that. Now I'm going to show you a few unwilling respondents and how to meet some of their objections.
I have no time to be answering a lot of foolish questions.
I will ask the questions as quickly as I can. It won't take very long.
I have an appointment at the beauty parlor, and I can't spare a minute.
If you are too busy now, when could you see me? It is very important that I get information from every household in my area. When may I come back?
Well, I guess I can answer the questions now. I'll still have time to keep my appointment.
If the maid should answer the door, you might say, "Is this the lady of the house in?"
No, she isn't.
"I'm an enumerator from the United States Bureau of the Census, and I'll be glad to come back whenever it'll be convenient for her. When would I be likely to find her here?" Whenever you make arrangements for a callback, note the date and time on your callback record. Then be sure to be there at the time agreed upon. You will be asking sample questions of some people, and the respondent may wonder about this. For instance,
Are you going to ask everyone on the street all these questions?
"I'm going to ask some of these questions of everyone, but not all of them because everyone is not in the sample."
What do you mean, in the sample? Why do you pick on me?
In sampling for the census, we are asking a special group of questions of certain persons. The persons are selected at random, but taken together, they will be representative of the entire country. The fact that you fell in the sample was just chance, but it is very important that I get from you an answer to all the questions on the schedule.
Sounds to me like a lot of government red tape. I have no patience with it. It may seem that way, Mrs. Jones, but the government and many people in business and industry need information based on the facts from you and other people. We're just trying to get some of those facts. Doesn't the government already have all the facts? The only way it can have the facts is to ask questions such as I want to ask you.
Sometimes a respondent might say,
Someone asking more questions. It's always the same old story. You can't tell me a thing about it.
"I'm sorry to trouble you, Mrs. Reed, but we really need your answers. I am required to get the information from every household in my area." You have to be ready with an answer for every occasion. Never tell the respondent she is wrong. Patiently explain to her why you need the information. Don't talk down to her. Her critical remarks deserve an intelligent reply. And now I want to give you a few warnings. It is mighty easy to get careless, particularly when you are tired or the weather is bad. We have tried to illustrate some of the points you need to watch. If no one is at home, ask a neighbor when someone usually is there. You avoid unnecessary callbacks if you find out the best time to come again. Use the telephone only to make appointments, arrange callbacks, and make follow-up calls, according to the instructions of your crew leader. Just because you have to drive a long distance on a bad dirt road to reach a farm household, you must not skip that household. You must enumerate all occupants in every household in your ED. If the respondent gets tired and his attention wanders, try to regain his interest by saying, enumerator, "I know I seem to be asking a lot of questions, but this is the only way the Census Bureau can collect information it needs." Don't do your interviewing before a group. If you find the respondent with a couple of other people, try this. Enumerator, "Mr. Morgan, I have some questions to ask you, and I'd appreciate seeing you in private." Respondent, "What's the matter with right here? These guys all know me." Enumerator, "The Bureau of the Census keeps all information supplied it confidential, so we like to give every respondent an opportunity to give the information in private." Respondent, "There's nothing private in my life. What you want to know?" Narrator, if the respondent declines to be interviewed privately, you simply proceed under the conditions he chooses. Only persons authorized by the Census Bureau may accompany you on your interviews. If your crew leader is with you, Be sure to make introductions and explain the reason for her presence. Mrs. Black, this is Mrs. Smith. She's my crew leader and is making this call with me to see if she can help me. Never look startled, uneasy, or annoyed at a respondent's reply. You may embarrass or insult him, and he may deliberately give you incorrect answers. Use good judgment in handling talkative respondents. With some, it may be profitable to listen for a minute or two. Here's how you might deal with others.
John's the next boy. He's in prep school now. I just had a long letter from him, and he thinks that he will make the varsity team this year.
You must be pretty proud of him. How old did you say John was? Occasionally, you may be confronted with a situation like this. Respondent: what do you think of the fellow from Newark who's running for tax collector? He may be all right, but I wouldn't vote for him. Would you? Enumerator: sorry, but now that I'm with the Census Bureau, I can't discuss politics. In every case, you will find that friendliness pays big dividends. You are always polite and patient. Whenever you have any doubts, consult your manuals or your crew leaders. This job offers you an interesting opportunity. It gives you a chance to work with many kinds of people. The Census Bureau must have accurate information, and the accuracy of the data depends on you. You're on your own with plenty of responsibility. Give it all you have, and you will do a good job and enjoy it. Good luck to each of you. The end. I would end that film strip. If I ever do get the original audio, I will replace this film strip, this YouTube video. So this has been another of my JDW talks. I'm actually hoping to put more of these training films on once I get more resources. I have YouTube talks on census resources, Ellis Island topics, natural history topics, birding topics, including birding optics and virtual field trips. So I hope you enjoyed that, and it prepares you a little bit more to understand the 1950 census when it becomes public on April 1st of 2022. Good luck with your research.